Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Of course you know my name is Kenny, and folks, you can see that it is sunny here. I hope that you can see that it is sunny, but it's about 68, 70 degrees. Sun is out and it is so nice. There's not an ounce of humidity in the air. And with that kind of temperature, you can appreciate it. But let me tell you, I think we've got quite a few of these days in store for us, at least for the time being. Beautiful blue sky, and that is my kind of weather. Now, you can probably notice behind me that I'm either in the woods or in my backyard. I'm kind of both, if you will. But today I want to give you an outside tour of my log cabin that I constructed back in 17 all by myself. I want to show you the outside of my log cabin. And right now, let me take you right into that, if I may. Let me show you now. This is my backyard. As you can tell, it is a backyard in the woods. Now that is something that's important to me. I love the peace and quiet of the woods. And this is my backyard. I'm telling you, it is so peaceful back here that for those that probably take antidepressants, you could probably visit a place like this and, well, I don't mean to be crazy here, but lay your antidepressant down. That's just a joke, okay? Now, let me show you my cabin. This is my cabin that I built, like I said earlier, back in 2017. Now, the sun is a little glaring, and that is a beautiful thing. This cabin is made out of logs, nothing but logs, as you will begin to see, except up here to the top, and I'll talk about that just a little bit later. These logs are 8, 10, and 12 inches in diameter. And I chose those logs. I cut these logs in 2016, and I let them cure for a year before that I put them into the construction of the cabin. But I did something that some people would question, and they would say, then why would you do such a thing? Now, I built this with a chainsaw mill, and of course a chainsaw, and with a sledgehammer to drive the nails, and of course that was pretty much it, except I used a winch that was on my four-wheeler to help me to mount these logs up, or to lift them up really like I wanted to. But I left the bark. Let me give you a shot of this. I left the bark. Now I cut 3 corners square with my chainsaw mill. That was the way that I planned it. And the outer part on the outside, which is just one side, I left the bark on it. And I think that's really paid off to a degree with me, and some people would question, why would you do that? Because mostly everybody would remove the bark from the log before they put it up. But I did that because this bark that I've got my hand on here, it kind of acts like a strip of siding, if you will. But I'm going to take it off. Some of it is beginning to decay pretty bad. So I'm going to take it off probably before the winter time comes. Now this thing here is just a prop that I never did take down. And I used it to winch my log up with a pulley and of course with a winch. But this is the back side of my cabin. Now you will notice here that I have got, where my fingers are, I chinked this from the inside. And I didn't use regular chinking. I used styrofoam in a can. That's what I chinked it with. Inside, I did it from the inside, and I also used a few pool noodles. You will notice those as well. Now notice how, here's some pool noodle that you can probably see. Notice here that I tied these logs together pretty much all the way down to the bottom. I tied them together, locking them together so that they would be super strong. Now let me take you around to the back. Here is one that is pretty much, the bark has began to fall off of it. Now here's another post that I used for my pulley to winch up my logs to the top. Now you can see some of this chinking here and these cracks, which of course it is styrofoam in a can. And here is the pool noodle, if you will notice here, the pool noodle. Now I'm around to the corner side where I put this together. Let me give you a quick view. Now we're going to go back to the back. Let me take you all the way back to the back and give you a little bit of an idea here what this looks like. Now I put an old-timey metal roof on this cabin. Now you can see that this is super primitive. Now I have got, let me show you the roof. I put an old-timey barn roof on this, and I actually doubled it. I had a huge amount of it from a barn that I got from a person that had an old barn, and they tore it down. So I got the tin or the roof, metal roof, and I've got it doubled up there. But I've got plans to eventually take this all off and put a modern metal roof on it, like it's possibly on your house. And the sides up here, it is also barn lumber. That's what it is, barn lumber. Now I've got a window up there to the top. This has got a super, I mean, it is steep. The roof on it is pretty steep. I've got an inside is kind of like a cathedral ceiling, where I have got a loft. I have got a loft in this. It's kind of like Little House, the Little House TV series. It's kind of built in that pattern. That's the way I pretty much built it. So I've got a pretty good sized loft up there, but I'm going to do an inside video of it in the not too distant future, and you'll be able to see that. But I've got a lot of work to do to that loft before I let you see it, okay? But that window there, I've got another window on the other side. Now let me go over here, down here if I may, and I want to show you how I constructed this. I've already showed you these corners, but right here is the foundation of this thing. Let me kind of give you a bird's eye view of that. I've got this constructed on rock as well as concrete block. It's about 2 feet off the ground here and about 1.5 feet on the other side. But it's constructed, I started out the foundation, and it's built on a big, huge hickory log. Now I've got a hickory log on this end, which is far bigger, as you will see on the other side. And I've got one in the middle, and I've got one at the back. But the one at the back is not a hickory, it is a maple. But as you can see here, some of this bark is beginning to come off. Now I insulated this cabin last 1.5 years ago, and I had to scrap it because, let me tell you, I had a couple of squirrels that I have still got. They literally devoured my inside with that fiberglass insulation. As you can see, there's a little bit of it up there left. I had to sweep it up inside and get rid of it, but that right there is the only thing that's really left of it. I've got a little bit left up there in my attic, in my loft, if you will. But I've got to insulate this before wintertime comes. Now I want to show you my porch. This is my porch. That's the roof of my porch. And here's my door, my entry door. My entry door is made of complete glass. And I put that up there for a reason, simply because it gives more light inside. This is an off-grid cabin, folks. Let me tell you, it's off-grid, and it will be that way. It will stay that way. Let me give you another view of my porch. There was a big hickory tree that sat right here. Here's the stump. Now right there is underneath my porch. It's very high off the ground, and you can see the rest of that big huge log that is built as a foundation pillar for my cabin floor. Now this is constructed out of barn lumber, just like the upper part of the roof of the cabin. It's built out of barn lumber. This porch is built out of that stuff as well. Now here is a pile of my firewood that was left from last winter, which of course is beginning to rot, but nevertheless that's how it works. Firewood will rot if it's not covered. And this is underneath the house, but it's still beginning to decay just a little bit. Here's my steps that I have got to replace. These I built and just put them there temporarily. Now folks, as you can see here, this is a wood pile. This is last year's wood pile that was uncovered. And let me tell you, it's beginning to really decompose and rot. My cabin is also under a big, beautiful hickory tree. This thing is really tall. It's a big hickory tree. Let me show you an up-close shot of it. A big hickory tree with a lot of poison ivy on it too. But this is my front yard, folks. This is my front yard. I want to show you my front yard. It is so peaceful and quiet around here. I'm walking through these leaves that are beginning. Some of them are beginning to fall. The only access to my cabin, folks, is either on foot or, as you can see, a four-wheeler. That is the access to my cabin. You can't get to it no other way. No other way can you get to my cabin. It is entirely, it's either you walk or you ride a four-wheeler. And this is my front yard. I'm showing it to you. And let me give you another shot of my cabin from a small distance. And this tree is located right in front of my cabin. And let me tell you, it's got a few nuts on it. The squirrels have been eating it. I mean, they've been eating on the nuts. And let me show you, I picked one up a moment ago, and I can show you how that they work it over. You can see the spots where their teeth prints are on that one. This is my favorite spot in all the world, folks. It's my favorite spot in all the world. Peaceful, quiet. And that's the way that I like it. Now this is the other side of my cabin. As you can see, it's got a window just like the back has, but some of the bark on this is really beginning to come off and peel over here, which it is a good thing, I'm assuming, but I will be taking this off very quickly, hopefully before the winter snows begin to fly. Now this is just another brace here to where that I put up to anchor and to pull up the logs to the top up there with my winch and with my pulley. But let me give you another shot of that up there. Let me give you that. How did I put that roof on there? And this from the top to the bottom is about 15 feet. So it's got a relatively high roof on it. But that, folks, is a good picture of the outside of my cabin. Now notice here's another hickory log. This one back here is maple, and underneath you can probably see some of that. But my cabin is built strong. Now you may be asking, how much did it cost you to build that cabin? Now let me tell you what it cost me, folks. I'm going to be upfront with you, and I'm going to tell you the truth. I have no intentions of telling you a lie. I built this cabin entirely by myself. Now my two grandsons helped me a couple of days or a little bit longer in the final stages by operating my winch. They sat on the four-wheeler and they operated the winch for me to get the logs up to the final round. This thing is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 logs high. And like I said at the beginning, these logs range from 8 to 12 inches in diameter. And going back around here, I will tell you, all of these logs, this cabin is built on my property. And all of these logs, of course, you know, I cut them on my property, so they didn't cost me anything. I didn't hardly pay anything for the old barn lumber, just a little fraction of what you would pay for something like that, maybe 20 bucks or something like that. And the only thing I paid for was my nails. And let me give you a picture of some of the nails right here. Let me show you what they look like right there. That's where I took a small bridge loose from the wall that I used to winch up on the top up there with for the top logs. But those nails actually cost about $1. Back 3 years ago, they cost about $1 a piece. You can get them at Lowe's, Home Depot, etc. But let me tell you now, with this pandemic and everything that's going on, I wouldn't be surprised what those nails aren't about $2, $3 a piece. Now that's speculation, but I know how prices have went up since all of this started. This cabin is 16 by 20. It's 16 feet wide and it's 20 feet long. I have, with the stove, now I bought my wood stove and I included that in the price of the construction. I have got about $900 in this cabin. And the things that, like I said, the only things that I bought were the nails. And of course, I used a chainsaw to cut these logs with, and I bought the chainsaw mill. And of course, your gas and oil for all of that. About $900 is what I have got in this cabin. Now, I don't know if you're planning on building a cabin like this, let me tell you, if you cut your own logs, you can save a lot of money. But if you attempt to build one this size with prefab logs that are already been cut and designed, you will pay probably 10 grand. That is my estimate. I could be wrong about that, give or take a little bit, but I don't think I miss it very far. But I've got about $900 in this cabin. And let me tell you, it's off-grid, and it is mine. It is built on my property. And let me tell you, I've got some big plans for this cabin. So I think that's pretty much covered all of the outer part, and I will follow up at a later date with part 2, which will be the inside tour. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I love log cabins. I love them, I love them, I love them. And incidentally, that's pretty much what I watch on YouTube. Yeah, you got that right. I'm a log cabin man. I love log cabins. And now, let me say to you, if you like this, now I have enjoyed bringing this to you. If you like this, listen, go ahead and give us a thumbs up if you like this. And we would appreciate it. And while you're at it, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. And I certainly would appreciate it. And as always, you have a wonderful, blessed day, and we will talk to you later.